what I want to do, we had originally intended to start out with the Solicitor General debate and then end with the State Senate. However, though Jack Murphy had intended to come, he did send a statement. He is unable to be here, so we are going to start with the candidate forum with Michael Williams. As he's arriving, let me read. Can you hear me if I yell? Let me read what Jack had to say. To me, he said, "Thank you, Sherry, for the invitation. Unfortunately, my official duties during the legislative session prevent me from attending. We face many important issues in our community and our state. The recent snow and ice have compressed our schedule, making our work even more intense. I am working hard to fight Obamacare and its expansion in Georgia. As an early supporter of the fair tax, I am working hard to implement it in Georgia and reducing and eventually eliminating the state income tax. As a veteran and someone who has served, who has earned an A+ rating. Sorry, I wrote this, I can't even read my own scrawl. Someone who has earned an A+ rating from the NRA, I am fully committed to supporting our veterans and protecting our Second Amendment rights. And the right to bear arms, I'm sorry. So that was from Jack Murphy. He did ask a question of the candidate. Since he will not be rebutted, I did not give him the opportunity in his statement to ask a direct question because there would be no way to rebut it. I did not think that was a fair thing, so I ended before he did. That's just the way I am. It's not a democracy. All right, so Michael Williams is the candidate who is here tonight, hoping to earn your vote to represent District 27, which covers the entirety of Forsyth County. So if you live in Forsyth County, this is one of the people, Jack Murphy in the paper is the other, who has said that he is running for state senate. So if you live in Forsyth County, this is a person hoping to get your paycheck. Your taxes, his paycheck. So please pay attention to Michael Williams.
All right, well, thank you, Sherry, and also thank you for the Forsyth County Tea Party for putting on this forum debate. I guess we're going to call me up here. I also want to thank my wife and my son Emmett for joining me today. My wife has been a very big supporter of mine, and she's been there beside me the whole way, so thank you, sweetheart. I also want to thank all of you for being here tonight as well. I know there's a lot better places you could probably be than listening to the four of us. Let's kind of start out tonight by sharing a quick story. It happened back when I was in high school. I feel like it kind of describes the kind of person and the kind of character that I have. One is, I went to a very small school. There was only 20 people in my graduating class, and I'm a larger kid, and I was asked to participate in pretty much all the sports the school did, even though I kind of sucked at most of them. They asked me to run the 300-meter hurdle on their track team. Now, our school, again, was really small, and we only had 3 hurdles for me to practice with. So I'd go out and I'd do the conditioning and all that, and then I'd get my 3 hurdles, I'd line them up, and I'd practice my running and my jumping. And I kind of do a lopsided circle. I'd run my 3 hurdles, turn around, and then run my 3 hurdles. Well, whenever I got to my first track meet, I was a little excited, a little nervous, but I saw something I'd never seen before in my life. It was 8 hurdles in a row. So the gun went off, and I ran as fast as I could, and I did the first 3 hurdles fine, no problem whatsoever. I was neck and neck with my competitors. That 4th hurdle, though, caused me a little bit of a problem. My left foot caught the very top of the hurdle, and I fell flat on my face. I was a little embarrassed, a little hurt, but I got up and ran, trying to catch up to everybody. The 5th hurdle, kind of the same thing. I knocked it over. Same thing with the 6th hurdle and the 7th hurdle. By the time I get to the 8th hurdle, everybody had finished. They're going through their cool down, and I just wanted to kind of get off the track. But I went ahead and I jumped that 8th hurdle, barely cleared it, but yeah, I knocked it down again, and I finished that race. That's also kind of been the story of my life. I've had all kinds of hurdles and obstacles I've had to overcome. Some have knocked me down flat on my face. Others I've kind of cleared pretty easily. But the most important part is I get up and I finish the race every single time. And I feel like that today what we need from our elected officials are those officials that are going to lead us through some of the hurdles and challenges that we face today as a nation, as a state. As most of you know, we have some very big and even dangerous hurdles out there. And we need more from our elected officials than just mere rhetoric or broken and empty promises. We need somebody that's going to get out there, that's going to lead by example. And that's something that I promise to do for you guys if I'm lucky enough to earn your guys' votes to go out there and lead. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Michael. You know, originally this was going to be a debate, and we had questions that we would have posed to both candidates. But since we just have Michael here, we're going to give him an opportunity to answer the questions that we have here. The format is that he will have 2 minutes to answer, and since we won't really have a rebuttal, then we'll just move on. So we'll get started. Michael, with the first question here, what are your 4 top priorities for the 2015-2016 sessions?
Well, my biggest priority that I have is to reduce the size and scope of our government. I really appreciated Dan's prayer whenever he mentioned that it's better to eliminate bad laws than to create new laws. That's one thing that I plan to do, is to go down there and to look at the laws that we currently have on our books and try to get rid of as many as we can. That's one of them. Also, tax reform. I'm a CPA by trade, and I don't know anybody that agrees with the way that we're currently taxed. I'd love to see a fair tax put in place, as well as to do something with our corporate taxes. We have some of the highest corporate tax rates in the Southeast, and there's also several states around Florida, Texas, Tennessee that have no income tax, so it puts us at a disadvantage when we're trying to go out and approve businesses. Also, ethics. The stateintegrity.org website graded the state of Georgia with a grade of F when it comes to Georgia's corruption risk. There's several things that we can do to improve ethics within our political environment. One of those is simply submitting bank statements with our financial disclosures. Again, I'm a CPA, I've done several audits, and when December 31st rolled around and I had to submit my financial disclosures, I had all my stuff ready, had my bank statements, and I went to submit, and they said, Mike, we don't need your bank statements. Like, what do you mean? How do you look at my stuff if you don't have my bank statements? Well, you're supposed to trust your politicians. I don't know about that very much, but I feel like we need to submit bank statements when it comes to our financial disclosures. And also, something that's kind of just personal to me is to make sure that we have Georgia laws only within the state of Georgia. I know there's a lot of work out there trying to allow foreign laws into our courts. I don't think that's something that we need within the state of Georgia, to make sure that we just keep Georgia laws within the state of Georgia.
All right, thank you, Michael. All that talk about finances reminds me, I neglected to mention that we need your support. This helps us keep things running. We don't have to pay rent here, but typically we meet at the senior center, so we have rent payments that we have to pay there and other expenses. So any donation would be greatly appreciated. All right, Michael. Second question here. Would you support establishing a ballot initiative or a straw poll regarding terms for local, county, and state elected and appointed officials?
Most definitely I would. One thing, I am not a career politician. I don't feel like our founding fathers intended there to be career politicians, nor I think it's good for government. So I would definitely support a ballot for term limits.
Okay, thank you. Have you supported the acceptance of the Common Core curriculum? If so, why or why not?
I do not support Common Core. Frankly, I feel like our teachers, our parents, and ourselves, that we can teach our children a lot better than bureaucrats and DC can. I have 3 children that currently attend 5th grade, 8th grade, and 10th grade. And I have sat in front of several teachers and administrators and talked to them about my children. And the commitment and the love and dedication they have for my children, I think is head and shoulders above any place else. So to take that away from local control, I cannot agree with that at all.
All right, thank you. In the interest of government for the people, of the people, and by the people, will you work to eliminate the Senate PAC fund that is spent on incumbents only? And why or why not?
As we all know, incumbents have a huge advantage whenever it comes to campaigns and being reelected. One of those is an advantage, the money that they have. Yes, I would definitely do what I could to eliminate that PAC. I feel like there needs to be a level playing field for all those that want to run for public office, and just because you're an incumbent doesn't give you the right to win, every election because of financing.
Okay. Number 5. How can we get the people to believe that the Georgia legislature is truly transparent and neutral when carrying out the responsibility the state constitution bestows on the legislature?
So can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. How can we get the people to believe that the Georgia legislature is truly transparent and neutral when carrying out the responsibility the state constitution bestows on the legislature?
I once heard a candidate say that the biggest deficit this country faces is a deficit of trust between the elected officials and their constituents. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I feel like, again, I mentioned ethics. For us, for the candidates and also for elected officials, to be more transparent in where we get our financing from and things that we do, I think that goes a long way. Also, when I talk about leading, one of the things that I feel is very important is for our elected officials to be able to come back here and talk to us about what's really going on under the gold dome in the state legislature. I think about T-SPLOS and the epic failure that was. It was turned down by most of the state, but I think the biggest failure we had was that our elected officials didn't come before us and tell us why that money was needed, what it was going to be used for, and how it was going to be spent. Again, it was an opportunity for somebody to step up and to lead. So I think it's us coming before you, having open, honest discussions about what's really going on, as well as being transparent.
Are there any rules that come to mind that you think could be changed to provide more transparency or oversight in the system?
Again, where the money comes from. You follow the money, then you'll figure out who is actually making the laws and supporting the candidates. I've had an opportunity to look through several financial disclosures, and I'm not going to name any names, but there's one particular candidate where the vast majority of his money comes from is from out of state and even out of the county. So being able to track the money, see where the money comes from, I think is a large part of it. And then just, again, for the candidates and for the elected officials, to be honest and be open with their constituents and what's really going on.
Thank you. In the interest of protecting our children and educators and staff, what solutions would you support to ensure that there isn't a repeat of the issues surrounding the January 28th event, snow event, that many metro school systems experience?
I kind of have a different opinion of what caused the snow event. I don't necessarily blame the governor or the mayor. One thing that I feel is kind of needed in our society is accountability. We all decided to listen to the weatherman. From everything that I read, it was only going to be some slight flurries, and when we all realized that wasn't the case, we all hit the roads and tried to get home. So as far as that event, I just think it was a fluke, primarily due to weathermen not being able to predict the weather. But kind of segue into that, I think that really showed the flaws and the lacking that we have in our road systems. That traffic jam, whether ice or not, would have been there, it just wouldn't have been as exacerbated with the ice. So it just really showed a weakness in what we need to do with improving our road system.
All right, thank you. It appears that the Speaker or President of the Senate position wields a tremendous amount of power that sometimes might be construed as really not for, by, and of the people. Can you comment on this perception and how it might be eliminated?
My understanding is that that position is able to control what leaves committees. Before a bill can actually get on the floor, that person has to approve it. And I do not believe that any one person should have that amount of control. So I think taking away that ability would go a long way to eliminating that perception and that reality.
What are your conservative credentials, and can you expound on those?
What are my conservative credentials? Well, one, I am a small business owner. I'm a CPA, and those kind of things kind of go hand in hand with conservatism. I am a Christian. I've been a Christian my entire life. I have some of the basic fundamentals, pro-life. I believe that the sanctity of life and it needs to be protected. Credentials, I don't really know how somebody can have credentials for conservatism, something that you either do or you don't do. It comes from your heart. And those people that know me, and as I'm out able to meet with most of you, I think you'll be able to see that and be able to tell for yourself, as opposed to me just standing up here and telling you why I'm a conservative.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you're probably right on the credentials aspect. All right, what does the United States Constitution mean to you as you contemplate pushing forward on the legislative agenda?
What does the Constitution mean to me, and do I plan on pushing forward?
No, as you contemplate how you would push forward the legislative agenda.
Oh, okay. I believe that our Constitution was inspired by God. I do not feel like mere men could come up with such a document. It means that the world to me, and our liberties, our lives, our children's liberties in life is based upon that document. And I feel like me personally, as well as all of us, can do everything we can to protect the integrity of that document as it was written, not as it's being interpreted today. And I would do everything I could to protect that as part of my legislative agenda.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, we continue to experience increased roles in the EBT and similar programs throughout the country. What can the state of Georgia do to determine that participants are truly needy?
Well, I guess to kind of step aside from that a little bit, the entitlement programs that we have, I feel like there's a humongous drain on our society, not only from a financial standpoint, but also from a human capital standpoint. So much money and time is wasted on these programs. As far as what the state of Georgia can do, I know right now there is a bill that's being looked at. I believe it's House Bill 772 that requires anybody that's on food stamps or WARFL to be tested for illegal drugs. I feel like that's a step in the right direction. If you have to be drug-free to work for the government, you should be drug-free to accept funds from the government. So making more people accountable. Hey, I'm just like that.
That's good, leave them wanting more. All right, there's been discussion of adding 1 or 2 incorporated cities in the county. What are your thoughts on adding these cities?
My thoughts are that local control is the best control. And in every sense of the word, whether it's local government, your local school boards, and if there's a group of people that feel like they're not being represented by their government, they have every right to seek that out. I know there's different talks about there being one central, coming Forsyth County government instead of having a bunch of small ones. As long as the people of Forsyth County agree to that or the other one, it really doesn't matter to me, as long as we have local control and the people feel like here in Forsyth County that they're represented with that control.
All right, and the final question. Currently, there are 7 states with no income tax, including our bordering states of Tennessee and Florida. Do you believe that Georgia should either reform or end its income tax?
I believe they should end their income tax. It's something that needs to be done for us to become competitive with businesses, to attract and keep those businesses here and within the state of Georgia. So yeah, it's something that we need to do as far as on an income, personal income, as well as corporate tax. We need to change our corporate tax structure as well. I was actually looking at a map today, and the state of Georgia has one of the highest individual and corporate income tax rates in the surrounding areas. So we definitely do something to keep Georgia competitive in the business environment.
All right, thank you, Michael. Those were the questions that we had. We do have a couple of minutes if you want to say anything in closing. Or...
Sure. First of all, thank you. I hope I didn't bore you guys too much. I tried to keep my answers kind of short, distinct, and to the point. I know we have 3 more candidates that can get up here and probably entertain you a little better than I can. But thank you for coming out. Thank you again to Forsyth County Tea Party for putting this on. Again, I just wanted to kind of close reminding everybody that I am not a career politician, nor do I ever want to be. It's not something that I plan on having as my retirement to join the state senate. My brother is actually moving his family, his wife and his 2 kids, here to Forsyth County. And he and I have bought the rights to a new franchise concept here in the entire state. So I still have a lot of businesses to create, a lot of jobs to create. I just feel like now is an opportunity for me to throw my hat in the ring and to give back to this great community. As I've gotten involved, I've realized that just because you don't like politics doesn't mean you shouldn't be involved in politics. I have the time and the means now to do that. I look forward to the opportunity to serve you, and I ask for your support and for your vote. And thank you.